AJ, thanks for joining me on an episode of InvestorPool, mate. Thanks for coming on.
No worries. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Hey, look, I'm really excited to talk about what you've got to share today because, you know, we've had a property manager on the show, right?
Yeah.
And it was such an interesting topic, and we talked about property management, investing, and so forth. And you actually have a business that is in that field as well, but with a slight twist to it. Would you mind sharing more about Instarent to everyone watching today?
Yeah, so Instarent you could classify as a property tech company. So it's property technology based around property management.
Yep.
And what we do is, at this stage, we're helping owners self-manage their property. What we found was there was a lack of transparency in this market. It wasn't cost effective. And a lot of landlords were confused when it came to managing their property by themselves, or maybe not getting enough value from their agents, which is a real concern these days. So and also not having the ability to maximize the rental yield, spending too much money on property management, which being the second biggest cost in your property, would mean that your yield will be reduced and it's harder to service the debt. So Instarent started as a platform. It's available via apps and web app as well for landlords to self-manage their property and have transparency over everything that's happening within their property, and we have virtualized the property manager into one.
Yeah, it's a self-managing property. I mean, to some it may seem like this is new, but is it really that new?
No, it's not. It has been happening for a very long time. To give you some stats around that, is 32% of the market right now is self-managed.
Wow, that's
which
huge.
is around, that is huge. When you think about it, it's like 1.1 million properties. So it is, and I was one of them actually. I had properties that were all over different states, and I was managing them, and I was managing them by myself. I had agents traditionally, but I just found it was too much work collecting all the agents' data and chasing up my agents, and then putting all that information together and sending it to my accountants meant that I was spending too much time doing that, and it made me question, what am I paying all these fees for? So self-management is one of those things where when people want to maximize their rental yield, they take that on upon themselves because they don't want to pay the high fees, especially for property investors that have been in the market for a very long time and they understand the space.
Yeah, because but what I find is sometimes there's these good managers, there's not so good managers, but look, that's like almost any industry for anything, right? There's the good and the bad. So I mean, when you think about property management, what do you feel represents a good manager? And when you think of Instarent coming into play, like how does it make, I guess, those bad managers, how does it fix up some of the things that I guess people might be experiencing?
Well, for one, I don't think there's good and bad managers. I think there's overworked managers, which means that a lot of good property managers will over time have a lot of properties to manage. Yeah. And that could be in the thousands. So when they're trying to cater for 1,000 clients at that level of efficiency and that level of detail, it becomes a bit of a problem.
Yeah.
So it's just the lack of time, and that comes down to a lack of automation and innovation in this space. Because if we could make the jobs for our self-managing landlords easier, we can definitely do it for our agents as well. And what that means is the agents can use Instarent and they can invite their landlord and tenant, which gives them full transparency over their investment property and portfolio. And also what that means is the agent is able to cater for a lot more properties in a much better way.
Yeah.
And because we use a high level of artificial intelligence and intelligent algorithms to make sure that we look after the property and the system does majority of it for you, it frees up the property manager to build more stable relationships and better relationships with their investors, and also find what their pain points are and what they can address as well.
Right, and with Instarent, I mean, is this helping people who are, all right, just local to say, okay, I live in Sydney, I've got properties in Sydney, why would I want to use a platform? Or maybe this platform is to help those type of people. Or is this helping and catering for like borderless investors who maybe live in Sydney but own property in Brisbane, Melbourne, and other parts? How does it work for people from different investing backgrounds?
So it caters for all investors, regardless of where you have your property. If you have your properties interstate, it's even more reason why you should use us, because if you use Instarent, you can have visibility over all of your property details. no matter where they are. So you don't have to be physically available for that, which is a great point. But if you're also trying to manage in the local area, it's good for you as well, because then you can go out and do your inspections and service checks and build a relationship with the tenant much more effectively. And in this market, as you know, it's very important to build a relationship with tenants, because you have to keep them. If your tenants were to vacate your property, that's a lot of financial burden on you, while you have to cater for the mortgage for that space as well. So yeah, it's built for everyone, and also built for people that are moving interstate. So as long as it's built for landlords, it's built for tenants as well.
Gotcha.
So tenants can apply for properties interstate. Traditionally, you weren't able to do that unless you inspected the property or visited physically. And transparency around the applications. So it just makes it easier to manage the tenant-landlord relationship. And also what it means is the tenant has a lot more options, a lot more viability, and a lot more transparency over what's happening with the applications, over their property. And of course, all the payments can be made through the app as well.
Right. So it's a bit of an all-in-one sort of thing, right?
That's right. Yeah, it's end-to-end. So you can advertise your property, you can find tenants, digital tenancy applications are all in there. And then once you're granted access, you have accounts, inspections, notices, repairs that all run through the platform. So you can make payments, you can do inspections, your tenant can do the inspection, and it's just having everything in the one place. What we thought was very vital for us to bring to the market. Otherwise, it just wouldn't make sense, because you need everything in the one place, and then it becomes easier. Like if you look at these days, like banking, you have everything in an app. Right? You look at majority.
It's not new, right? Like we're getting apps for everything.
That's
these
right.
days.
Yeah, you got apps for everything. So the biggest moneymaker or the biggest asset that you have can't be maintained through an app. It didn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Because I was like, okay, we can do your banking and everything, but when it comes to the thing that I should be paying the most attention to, which is my portfolio, I had no visibility, no transparency over it.
Papers flying around left, right, and centre.
Oh
right?
yeah, property management has been paperwork centric. We took everything to paperless.
Yeah, and so okay, let's walk through the process for a landlord, because this is interesting. I mean, I'm a landlord.
Yeah.
I buy a property, fill out some paperwork. The signboard goes up, the listings go up on Domain, things are rented out or listed open homes, then goes rented out. And then I call all the departments to get all my paperwork to go to my property manager.
Yeah.
Then I sit back and it just becomes a waiting game until either the money comes in or the repair goes out. Right?
One or the other.
So whilst that's happening, I guess, could you walk me through a process? Say I'm a landlord, I've just purchased a property. How does Instarent come into the picture, and what does that process look like?
So as long as you've purchased a property, you've settled on the property, it's simple as most of the times you'll have photos already, right, that the sales agent took of the property that you bought. You would take those photos and you'll upload it onto Instarent. We will then take that property and upload it with Domain and real estate as well.
Right.
To give you exposure. So that's where it becomes kind of like where a traditional agent would be, I guess. So we will list it on Domain and real estate, and you will have the app on you. So every time anyone wants to inspect the property, you'll be notified. If you want to do the open house yourself, and you can do every time there's an application, it gets notified via the app as well. We have intelligent algorithms that kind of look at all the applications and classify it to 1 to 5, and we just go, look, these are top 5 that we recommend.
Right.
And then you can pick one of those tenants, you approve them, they sign the paperwork. You look at the paperwork, which is the tenancy agreement, you sign it too, it happens all digitally. It gets classified, and then you hand over the keys. As simple as that. And
so say if I'm like living in Sydney, and my property's in Brisbane, who is managing the open homes at that point if I can't make it out there myself?
Okay.
And who does the keys hand over during that point and make sure those things go smoothly?
So there's two options. One option is if you're local, then you can go and do it yourself if you like. Otherwise, Instarent has an extra service where you can just buy a property manager for those couple of hours that you need them for.
Oh, right. So it's by the job. So it's not like you're paying percentages for the whole year.
No,
I need them to do this, and they can take care of that at a per job basis.
That's right. Yeah, percentages per year. It's just one of those things. Like if you look at the amount of time a property manager just lays dormant, doesn't really do anything. Does the initial part, the bulk of listing and getting the tenant, doing the vetting and getting them through the platform. To the property. That's the first initial phase, and then they do an inspection once every 6 months.
Yeah.
So for those 5 months or thereabouts, you're paying a percentage every month, which could be between 8 to 18% when you calculate all of the extra charges and fees that they put on. I didn't see any logic in that. I thought, why would you why can't you pay per service when you need them? And if you're local and you don't need us and you want to go and meet the tenants yourself, which I think builds a better relationship, and show them the property, and there's no one better to show the property than yourself. Because there's a reason why you bought the property and why you like the property, and you make that transparent to the tenant as well.
And so this sort of stuff's been happening quite predominantly like in overseas markets as well, right?
Yes.
I mean, what are some things and feedback that you're hearing from people, I guess, so far in Australia who've taken this on?
The feedback has been great. We launched in November, and since then we've been growing around 200 properties a month.
Oh, fantastic!
So it's a lot of people see the value in it. Of course, if you manage everything by yourself, the platform is completely free.
Yeah.
So what happens is, a lot of landlords are going, well, I'm saving myself about $4,000 or $5,000 a property.
Right.
Right. So that's if you have 5 properties, you can just do the math as to how much you can save, and also what it does first and foremost is it educates the landlord around how to manage your property in every aspect of the property management journey. It's all listed. It's very easy to use, and because it's an app, you get notifications on everything. So if there's arrears, notified. If there's a repair, it's notified. And a lot of landlords, their major complaint when they talk to us is, one, there was a repair for my property, my agent was too busy to notify me, and now my place is flooded. The tenants have to leave, and whatever it might be. So it's having real-time data. It's having real time to make decisions on. And
well, that's an interesting thing, repairs, right? I mean, how does that work from it? Like, is there a trades database or something, or is there like a property manager when you decide to, as an interstate investor, do they go out to the property to check out, see if that repair is valid?
Yeah.
Could you go through that process with me? Because I know that's on the investor's mind all the time.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, of course, yeah. And that was one of the big things that was always on my mind as well. Because that's the unforeseen thing. You can calculate everything else, but if something major was to happen, or a plumbing issue or something that was going to cost you a couple of $1,000s, that really throws your budget out of the water there. So with the repairs, because the tenant has the app and the landlord has the app as well, the tenant just takes a photo of the repair.
Yeah.
So they just can go up, it's a leaking tap, take a photo, they can put a brief description of what it is, and then they just submit it, and then the landlord will receive it. The landlord will look at the repair. And majority of what we've seen, and this has been very interesting, a lot of the landlords are preferring to go out and do the repair themselves, just to save a little bit of money on that front. But also what they can do is, if they don't have the capability to do that, they can just browse a tradesman on our platform. And we have a lot of tradesmen that are listed on our platform. And the thing with our tradesmen is that we physically meet everyone one-on-one. They just can't join the platform. They have to either be invited, or we have to we contact the most viable ones that have really good reviews, and then again we vet them on top of that to make sure that our landlord's taken care of.
Yeah.
And also we have some smart algorithms at the back that does quote compare and all of that to make sure that the landlord is getting the repair at the best price possible.
Okay. Gotcha. Hey, it's very interesting news, and I guess, for those people who might be having, say, a situation where they have multiple investment properties, how is the process for switching over? Because I think some people are in that mode where, hey, look, I get that, it could help me, it could save me a lot of money. Sounds pretty exciting. But just like it's the most difficult thing ever to switch an accountant.
That's
sometimes
right.
Sometimes it's very difficult for property management too. So what's the process like from that end?
Well, the process is quite simple. Like if you sign up an account with us, you just log into the account, have a play, and then what you can do is there's 2 options. One is a vacant, or one is an already rented option, and then once you pick the rented option, you can simply just put the agent's email address in, Or if you know the tenant's email address, you can put that in if you have a tenant existing. Or if you have the agent, you can just put the agent's email in. We send the agent an email, and we just go, this landlord is switching to Instarent, and we just collect all the data off them. We upload it onto your platform, onto your dashboard, and off you go. Really, it's as simple as that. And we invite the tenant. The tenant joins as well, and then you have a complete transparent view of your property.
Awesome, mate. That's it's been really exciting to learn about the platform Instarent.
Yeah.
For those watching, investors, the game is changing. There is a lot of new things coming on board, and it's exciting because in some ways it can, really aid your investment journey, give you back some control. But at the same time, I mean, there's AJ's been, working on tech at Instarent to actually aid property managers as well. So, how can people reach Instarent and learn more about it?
So you can go to www.instarent.com.au, and then you can chat to us via a web platform. You can call us if you like. We would like to have one-on-one conversations with all our clients as well. It is definitely not one of those cases where it's just a platform and then you go and do it. It's all self-service. We really like to get involved in the journeys of our property investors and see what they're facing, because it helps us understand the market a lot better as well.
Awesome.
So you can go onto our website, you can download the app, you can have a play, you can chat with us at any time, and I look forward to your feedback.
Awesome. That's AJ from Instarent, and that's another episode of InvestorPool.
Thanks, guys.